Attention, ladies and gentlemen, Gungans and droids. This is your Grand Admiral Arnold, director of the video gaming division here at the Galactic Empire. And man, we actually got some communication finally happening in Galaxy of Heroes, where we finally have the kit reveal for Resistance Hero Poe. And on top of that, ladies and gentlemen, we are also getting a touch-up on the current version of Resistance Hero Finn that was added not too long ago. Very minor touch-up, but it's supposed to add more direct line synergy with our new Resistance Hero Poe. And I'm still kind of surprised, ladies and gentlemen, because this Resistance Hero Poe that we have right here is not a tank. I'm still waiting to see who the appropriate tank is going to be for this upcoming team, because right now Jedi Training Rey is your resistance tank basically right now. And the problem I have, as I've shown you in some Resistance Hero Finn testing, is that Jedi Training Rey, for a lot of end game stuff, you really don't want her to be leading and taunting because of things like Death Mark, as well as things like fear going on to the leader, then spreading on to other people around the team. I still think we have a lot to learn still. Maybe the next version of Rey we're going to be getting is the tank. We'll have to wait and see, but now we got these new debuffs called Vulnerable, which are going to guarantee critical hits, which is kind of important for the current Jedi Training Rey that we have. So even assuming there is no Rey coming, although we do know there is one coming, this debuff right here, Vulnerable, is going to help out a lot the current Jedi Training Rey, I think. And speaking of Rey, I got to talk about Raid Shadow Legends for exactly 20 seconds. Cue it in, Gary. You guys know what time it is. It's time to give a quick shout out to our sponsor in this video, Raid Shadow Legends. If you're looking for a hero RPG collector game that is epic, real, dark, and pretty darn awesome, check out Raid Shadow Legends in the link down below in the video description. Lots of new content always being put out in this game, and if you're a new player, you'll get 50,000 silver for free and a free epic champion as part of the new player program. I'm really hoping, ladies and gentlemen, what we're going to read today is going to help Resistance Hero Finn become a little bit better. He's just okay right now. The other day on Twitch, for experimental purposes of territory battles, I threw on the Zeta on Spark of the Resistance, and so far, it's not a Zeta paying itself up, but I'm thinking going forward with the new Rey, as well as this new Poe, we might see something useful out of that Zeta. So let's go ahead and start this kit reveal and talk about our new light side attacker, Resistance, who overpowers his enemies with debilitating effects. Flinching shot, and I don't know if it's just me, but for some reason these little previews seem to be a little bit more high quality. I may just be digressing and seeing things that aren't there, but the final text here says deals special damage to a target enemy, and if Resistance Hero Poe is inspired, which comes from Resistance Hero Finn, the target enemy becomes vulnerable for one turn. But right now, Inspired only comes from Resistance Hero Finn. Who knows? We may see Inspired be the new core mechanic for the Resistance with the new upcoming Rey. We're going to have to wait and see. And Vulnerable, as you see right here, you'll be able to critically hit if able. Now, I don't know if this is going to supersede things like, for example, critical hit immunity. If so, that will be kind of helpful. And furthermore, the other reason I'm kind of thinking of Vulnerable is, for example, keep in mind things like Bas-Lashan's Corrupted Battle Meditation. When paired up with things like Darth Revan, you can't really critically hit with that Corrupted Battle Meditation. But I'm wondering, will Vulnerable also supersede things like critical hit immunity as well as Corrupted Battle Meditation? That will be incredibly important, because it seems like developers also hinted a little bit towards the Resistance having a bigger future. So the Resistance may slowly become a counter potentially to things like Darth Revan, especially when we consider things like Spark of the Resistance having very anti-fear mechanics going on, where you recover health and protection on turn meter if you're skipping out on a turn. So things to keep in mind. We'll have to come back to that conversation in a little bit here, but moving on, next thing we have is a special ability, Optic Onslaught. Cooldown of 3, ladies and gentlemen. Deals special damage to target enemy and inflict daze and stagger for 2 turns. All right, that's something. If Resistance Hero Poe is inspired, he also inflicts 3 damage over time debuffs for 1 turn. Now, it's kind of random. Damage over time effects really are not that crazy deadly in the game. There was a point where damage over times with things like Darth Vader and his Zeta lead were actually a meta at one point, but really ever since then, ever since that meta kind of shown its face and kind of set with the sun, we haven't really seen too many crazy things with damage over time for the time being. Again, it can kind of tie in with the rest of the stuff that the Resistance are probably going to be getting. Again, keep in mind, you need Inspired from Finn right now. Finn's the only one with Inspired here. Blaster, Bravado, cooldown of 3. Deal special damage to a target enemy and stun them for 2 turns. All right, that's something. And if Resistance Hero Poe is Inspired, dispel all buffs on them and inflict buff immunity for 2 turns. This ability can't be evaded. So again, it's going to depend how the future of the Inspired status effect is going to work. If Inspired is something that's going to happen quite a lot, then this is going to be quite nice, being able to constantly dispel buffs and inflict buff immunity on them and not being able to get evaded. So that could be a nice ability. But if Inspired is going to be something that's not going to really be floating around too much, this might not be all that useful of an ability. I will go back and show you the changes they're making to Finn and how the Finn kit's going to interact with this a little bit more. Now we're burning through this kit, quite a simple kit so far. I'm surprised there's not a leader called General of the Resistance, since as we know, Poe kind of stepped up to the plate after Leia bit the dust in the last movie here. Spark of the Resistance is what we're going to get instead. The unique ability with the Zeta, a 1 Zeta character, which makes me happy. It's nice not having 4 Zeta characters too often. If all of Resistance Hero Poe's allies are light side, enemies lose 5% protection whenever they lose a debuff. When Inspired allies deal damage to an enemy, they also deal bonus damage equal to 10% of the target's max health. That's going to be kind of bigger, but it's not really going to affect things like Darth Malik. Darth Malik's basically immune to max health effects. This ability also cannot be evaded, and if an enemy critically hits an Inspired ally, all buffs are dispelled from that enemy at the end of the turn. If I had to guess, we don't really know exactly what the Zeta is going to be here, but if I had to take a guess, this might be the Zeta part right there. That is quite powerful, and if Resistance Hero Poe is Inspired when he uses a special ability during his turn, he can inspire another target Resistance ally. So it kind of feels like a BB-8 type of thing where you're going to spread over the secret intel anytime you're using a special ability. It's kind of like a little wildfire contagious thing. That's how the hope of the Resistance works. Once one person's inspired, the rest of the crew becomes inspired. Oh, my Imperial heart can only take so much plot armor. So this unique ability is actually kind of the biggest highlight, in my opinion, for this new Poe that we have in the game. Again, I kind of wish there was a leader ability, but all this is really, really good inside of this unique ability. Being able to do damage equal to a target's max health. Being able to passively dispel all buffs on an enemy when they critically hit an Inspired ally. There's a lot of critical hits floating around in the game right now, especially things with Darth Revan and General Grievous. So this is looking really, 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 really good, and this does pair very nicely with what Resistance Hero Finn's unique ability does. Resistance Hero Finn's unique ability prevents people from making you skip out on turns, and then Resistance Hero Poe is giving you bonuses if you're kind of being slaughtered by the opposing enemy. So it's kind of nice. I like to see where this is going right now. And before we take a look at Finn's kit real quick, let's look at the touch-up. There's going to be a touch-up going on with Resistance Hero Finn. It's a very, 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 very minor touch-up. It's not considered a rework. It's just adding some direct line synergy to Resistance Hero Poe, because I guess they didn't want to tease that there's a new Poe coming a month ago, I guess. This kind of goes down to Strength of Will. This is kind of his turn meter swap ability, very much like a Grand Admiral Thrawn. Resistance Hero Finn becomes Inspired and then deals special damage twice to a target enemy, which can't be evaded, and swap turn meter with another Resistance ally. And if the target is Resistance Hero Poe, he also becomes Inspired, and this attack has 10% defense penetration, 5% critical damage for each Inspired ally, yada, 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 yada. So basically, this just gives you a faster way, I suppose, to becoming Inspired, because right now, just Finn becoming Inspired, it's not really enough. So trying to kind of get this whole resistance movement going, getting the next person inspired, and as we know, we see all of these inspired synergies. So it seems like you're going to immediately want to use that special ability from Finn over here, his Strength of Will, past the turn meter over to Poe, because when Poe's inspired, he's gonna he makes the target enemy vulnerable, which allows you to land a critical hit. If he's inspired, he's gonna inflict 3 damage over time, which really doesn't make too much sense for the time being, especially things like Kylo Ren Unmasked. They don't really care about damage over times too much. And then again, if he's inspired, dispel all buffs and inflict buff immunity for 2 turns. So it really seems like Finn, now you're going to want to immediately just make Poe inspired. So I'm not quite sure if this is going to be the end of it all. I'm going to read what the developers talked about in a second in their more like in-depth Q&A session they did on this, or their self Q&A session, I should say, on the new Poe right here. But really, when you look at Finn's kit, there's not a lot of ways to be spreading around inspired, and maybe it's only going to be a thing between just Poe and Finn, and that's really it. Inspired could definitely become a bigger thing because inspired resistance characters gain bonuses when they're inspired, and this effect expires after receiving 3 critical hits. So it seems like there might be an inspire for the new upcoming Rey that's going to be maybe added. Who knows? Maybe BB-8 will get some touch-up / rework to be inspired. And this is going to be important. Rallying Call, you're going to get Poe to be able to assist on this ability right now. So this should probably help out, get some extra damage out there. This is still what I'm trying to see is going to be resolved. I'm expecting either the new Rey to be a tank, or there might be one more character for the resistance that's going to come out to make this tank role make a little bit more sense. And let's just take a quick moment to look at the self-conducted Q&A session that the developers had on these new characters, just this new character in particular. And they're saying Resistance Hero Poe is designed to be one of the main damage dealers in the new Resistance team. He can apply a host of debuffs to the enemy, but really charges up when he's inspired. So as they kind of see up here, the strategy with this character, as I kind of said already, you're going to want Finn to immediately inspire Poe as quickly as possible, because you're missing out on basically 50% of Poe's kit if he's not going to be inspired. And then lastly, are there going to be any game modes that this character is particularly well suited for? And here they're kind of I think they're still kind of teasing the new upcoming Rey that's happening. They're quoting themselves in the past. At the moment, Resistance Hero Finn strengthens your resistance squad with another reliable attacker and solidifies an effective territory war / Grand Arena team, but who knows what the future could hold for the Resistance team. So they're saying the rest of this answer still applies to Poe. So they're kind of saying it's going to help you in territory wars and Grand Arena a little bit, but we still have to see what the future holds for the Resistance team. I've already kind of speculated on the future of the First Order and Resistance. My prediction is that they're not going to completely just delete the last 2 metas. They're probably going to have the new Resistance and First Order team be dominant in their own ways, but it's going to be a multi-dominant meta with probably the primarily most dominant things being General Skywalker, then the Resistance and the First Order teams, and probably Sith Empire will still hang around in there. That is my presumption that they're going to be leading into. So we're still not done yet. We obviously know that there is a brand new Rey coming over to Galaxy of Heroes at some time. So if you're still trying to predict what's going to be needed for this new upcoming Rey here, it might be Resistance Hero Rey, Jedi Rey, Rey Skywalker, whatever it might be. We already know that Jedi Training Rey is a required unit, and if I had to guess, at the minimum, if you're looking to get this character right away, day one, you're going to most likely need to whale out on the new Finn as well as the new Poe to get this new Rey. And I'm guessing this is going to definitely create probably at least a very dominant Grand Arena team eventually whenever we get the new Rey. But I do think in the meantime, Jedi Training Rey is going to be an adequate use with the current Finn and Poe, especially if Poe in the mix. I'm definitely liking what's going on there a little bit better, because Resistance is definitely falling out of favor quite a lot in PvP. So we'll indeed have to wait to see what the future of the Resistance holds. I will be live streaming the event. Whenever it does come out later on this week, we'll be live streaming it. We'll be most likely whaling, doing extensive testing on the new Poe, how it does interact with Finn and the current Jedi Training Rey lineup we have, do some raid testing and PvP testing. So make sure you guys come on and check that out. So thank you so much for watching, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully you did enjoy this video, and if you did, you know what to do. Hit that like button, comment down below on your thoughts. What is the future of the Resistance looking like? I'd love to see all those lovely comments here, guys, and be sure to subscribe so you're not missing a thing. And I'll see all you lovely people in the next video. Peace out, everybody.